Hey girl, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
I'm
could
so
hear
sorry.
you. Okay.
Okay. There we go.
So kind of just tell us like what you do, what your page is about.
Hi guys. So I lost a little bit of connection. My name is Brooke Taylor. I am 23 years old and I am from South Georgia. Um, I graduated from Spelman College in 2022 and then I went on to Boston School of Medicine to get my master's, and I'm currently uh, working on my doctorate. But what I am working on now, I've become very passionate about relationships and relating to one another, and that is now what I post on my social media now. I talk a lot about men and women relating to each other and interdependence, and how it is so important for us to learn how to relate with one another, because we have not, as a Black community, we haven't necessarily been taught how to relate with one another. And so I found a lot of passion in talking about that. And one of my running themes is, it's important for men to have vision and for women to find the vision that they are submitted to. And so I know we're going to talk more about that. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. The first question that we kind of had and we spoke about was not all men might be called to be married, right?
Mhm.
Though marriage is something that a lot of us will want in the future. There's definitely, especially Bible reference. Paul, we were speaking about earlier, said that not everybody is really called to be married, but from a woman's perspective, right? As a woman, as a nurturer, as a bearer of children, there's a lot of conversation going around that women don't want to be in relationships anymore. Women don't want to partake in marriage or relationships, period. And my question would really be, is it selfish for a woman to now adapt to this mentality? And how is it going to affect our society?
Okay. Well, I've also heard how women um, are now moving more into wanting to not have children and be more independent. And from that perspective, I do believe that. So what I do think is selfish is to get into relationships and to not operate in interdependence. And so when it comes down to, the question was, do I feel like it's selfish that women want to move forward and not want to operate in marriage?
Right.
So in in the question that you had mentioned before, in terms of Paul, I do believe that God gives the gift of single life to some people, and the gift of married life to others.
Mm.
And for women and men, I think pursuing marriage before understanding the actual tenets of interdependence is rather selfish. So I think it is important to stay single rather than getting into a relationship and not operating together. And someone asked, what is interdependence? Interdependence is operating together. So, and it's not to be confused with codependency. Codependency is when, yeah, exactly. Someone just asked that. Codependency is when you need someone else to operate. You're depending on this person, and your dependency is harmful to that person. Interdependence is when you're coming together for a common cause. So it's much healthier than codependency. Um, and so, with that being said, I think it's imperative for men to be committed to the vision that God placed in him, and that women choose a vision that she desires to submit to. And so, yes, if women want to be single, then it's better to be single than to operate in union with each other and try to, just get married just because of the look, and be single in that. However, unfortunately, we've been dating and stuff based on personality and preferences instead of vetting the vision of the man that we desire to submit to. So if a woman wants to remain single, it's best for her to, if she's not going to do the things I just mentioned, it's best for her to be single rather than moving forward in independency. A lot of women want to operate in independency when it comes down to relationships, and then it's just two independent individuals operating together, and that leads to nowhere.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely piggyback off of that too. And basically, like, I agree with 100% of what you said. And I think a lot of the problem that a lot of people have nowadays is they take that excuse of, I don't think that, relationships work for me. I don't think that marriage is my thing. And they turn it into an excuse or justification to now start sleeping with people and start,
Yeah.
going into all of these habits and stuff that really don't benefit you as a person, especially long term.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's something that a lot of us need to watch out for more, that the time that we do use, that when we are single, we must be focused, we must be disciplined, we must practice all of these things that help us and help, serve, our greater purpose. So I definitely, 100%, that's facts, y'all. She's spitting gems.
Thank you. I know we jumped right into the conversation, but I just wanted to say you look so beautiful, and I love what you.
That's all you. That's all. I was just about to say, you glowing over there.
I absolutely love what you talk about on your page, and you're just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's really hard to find a lot of women, or any women, in matter of fact, that kind of have synonymous viewpoints. And it's kind of it's exciting when you come across those women. That's why I was so bummed when I was like, you're like so many states away. I wish you were closer, because it seems like the people who I connect with most are always across the world
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah. But I think I had a follow-up question, but I forgot it. So I guess we'll just go into the next one of, although women, and this is a very controversial topic that a lot of people may, I know I am very passionate about this, and I know a lot of other people are. But the question is, although many women might not agree to polygamy, does sleeping around with multiple men or back to back, a lot of people want to be outside and everything now. Is that also a sign of partaking in a form of polygamy, and is this healthy? What are your thoughts?
Can you say that? Okay? Can you say that last question, the last part again?
Mm-hmm. So, with a lot of the women going, I guess, into this habit of sleeping with multiple men,
Okay.
or men, I guess, back to back, do you think that that's also kind of a sign of partaking in polygamy, and is it healthy?
Okay. No. When a woman sleeps with multiple men, that is a sign of something different. I don't think we should call that polygamy. I think we should just call that promiscuity.
Right, right.
It's not healthy for the woman for a multitude of reasons. And when it comes down to women sleeping with multiple men, and I know in today's time we say that men get a pass for sleeping around with multiple women, and so shouldn't women get the same pass?
Right.
And so I don't think that. First of all, I don't think you should get a pass, and I also think women aren't getting a pass whenever they sleep around with multiple men.
Right.
Yeah. So whenever a woman sleeps around, it's just to me, and in my opinion, it is an attempt to. When a woman sleeps around, she is divided from herself, and as women, we don't realize the pain that it causes deeper pain whenever we are operating in this. We think that it's causing more freedom and that we're able to do more and just do what men do, but that's not what it is. When a woman engages in promiscuity, it just reflects a struggle to accept her own story. So she becomes disconnected from her true self, failing to recognize her inherent value. Because whenever you're sleeping with many men, you're looking for your value elsewhere when it's within. And so that's the first thing that I think that we should address in terms of women sleeping around. It's not polygamy, and it's not okay for men, and it certainly isn't okay for women.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would, I guess, tend to argue the fact that, and I'll put my 2 cents in after, but a lot of people tend to argue the fact that, all of these people in the Bible and in history have practiced a form of polygamy, or, whether it be for survival reasons, for population reasons, whatever the case may be. A lot of people would tend to bring, a lot of historic things up to say, oh yeah, it works and stuff like that. But my question is, do you think that mindset right now is truly in God's will? Because to me, I will say no, only because just because people are, whether it be David, whether it be Solomon, just because those are people after God's own heart, I would definitely argue to say that just because you're in God's heart does not mean you're following his every will. And just because you're in the Bible and you are mentioned in the Bible doesn't mean you were perfect. A lot of the people that were mentioned in the Bible and practiced all of these sinful things, they were disciples for a reason, because they fell so short of grace that they needed it so bad. And so I think that that's where a lot of people tend to take the bad things that those people do and try to put it on a pedestal.
I love that especially that last part that you just said, because a lot of people resort to the Bible and what King Solomon did. And
Right.
King Solomon had multiple wives and this and that, but no one wants to talk about what happened in the end for King Solomon.
Right.
And so whenever King Solomon operated in those having multiple wives, at the end, they turned him away from God. And so the key point that I really want to drive home in terms of King Solomon, and not get too deep into his story, but to actually address it. But the key point is that whenever a man is operating in today's time, because we're in today, whenever a man is operating with multiple women, it is a key indication of him being disconnected from his vision.
Right.
And so that's the key point. Vision is singular in nature, and so you can't have multiple women and have one vision, because a womb is singular in nature. And so whenever a man is operating with multiple women, he is divided. And with that being the case, it means that he's not connected to his vision. And so even when it comes down to, that's it for men, but when it comes down to women, and one thing I like to think of when it comes down to women is that a nation can rise no higher than the self-worth of the woman who gave birth to it. And so if a woman is operating in low vibrational things, then that is gonna reflect in our men. And so in my opinion, I feel that we have lowered the bar of male and female relations so low that we have turned what was supposed to be a sacred encounter into just a transaction.
Right.
A woman sleeping with multiple men can only fuel the primal instincts of men, but it does not have the ability to inspire and expand the vision of the men. And so that's what I want to, I think that's the key thing that we should, understand when it comes down to polygamy with men, and then whenever women are operating in multiple men as well. It's not healthy. So
Right.
yeah, so I would say, like, just a closing thing is that sexual promiscuity is usually associated with women who are not submitted to anything, and therefore she's open to everything. And that is the same thing for men too.
Right. So there's this thing called soul tie, right, that we like to refer a lot back to. And soul tie meaning like a strong bond that is not just physical. It's not just there. You can't just see it. It's something that is much greater. It's more on, another dimension kind of vibration. Something that a lot of people wouldn't really be able to explain, but you lose it bit by bit the more, you practice these sinful things. And so how can we break those ungodly soul ties, whether, it be us messing around when we were younger. A lot of people want to say, oh, my younger days, I always messed up, or I messed around, I slept around, I did this and this and this. How can we break those ungodly soul ties, even when, we might love the person, but we know that they are not in God's will for us?
Yeah. So I would say that in terms of soul ties, ungodly soul ties form where there is no godly vision. And I keep going back to vision because vision is the blueprint to men, and God puts vision inside of every man. And we must have that foundation before starting anything, because if you don't, then the foundation is faulty. And so, in my opinion, I believe that a soul tie occurs in a woman whenever she believes that she is a part of a man's vision. And so the way I like to think of it is like that woman has in her mind that she is a part of that man's vision. And I believe that, like, just talking soul ties come about because you've been with a person sexually, and you guys are not together for some reason, right? And that's why it's so important to understand. That's why God saved sex for marriage, because you shouldn't be having that. You shouldn't be experiencing. You shouldn't be doing that with anyone who you are not going to be with forever.
Right.
And so for a woman, I believe that the soul ties occur when she believes that she is a part of a man's vision. And for a man, it happens whenever he believes that that woman will be submitted to everything that he is. But these are illusions. They're only illusions. They're not real. And so to really drive home my point, I would say, if a woman, would a woman ever would a woman ever open up her temple if the man told her, you are not a part of my vision and purpose? Would she proceed then? No.
No.
I don't think women would move forward in any type of act. And so I believe that soul ties are part of the fairy tales that we make up in our head about the future with that person. But if women really ask themselves, and if a man just said, I don't see you a part of my vision, but let's still do this, a woman is not gonna move forward in that.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I like that. So, this is not part of the questions, but it kind of makes me wonder. How I do believe that marriages today, especially the contractual ones, they're very they're not God made. A lot of this stuff, because marriage is technically supposed to be a covenant. Once you have sex, that's marriage. Would you still recommend people to get into these marriages where it becomes a contract instead? Because so many men are worrying about the repercussions of that and the consequences that it may have later on in the future if she decides to change her mind and now take half of everything he earned.
Okay, so you're asking me, do I think that marriages are still beneficial in today's time?
Yeah, I guess the contractual
The
ones.
contractual ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Yeah. Okay.
I do believe that they are contractual. I mean, the ones in today's time are contractual. And whenever we get into, and the reason I say yes is because if we are doing the proper vetting, which is the man is vetting the woman the way he needs to vet. Is this woman is this woman interested in my vision? Is she allowing me to lead? Is she submissive? Uh, all the qualities that you should be looking for in a wife, you should be vetting a woman to the T, as well as and this goes the same way for women as well. We should be vetting men very thoroughly. And so when people ask the question, do you feel like today's marriages are still worth it? Yes. And that question only comes about because we haven't been doing the proper vetting. If you vet correctly and you vet thoroughly, then you will find out a multitude of things before even forming that union. And so yes, I do believe that they are still very valuable, because another question you want to ask yourself in terms for women, for men, you have to look at the woman that you want to expand you. And so if you're thinking of just being with this woman with no contract, what protects her at the end of the day, and what
Right.
protects your kids? And so that the way I see it, yes, it is. And that question, to me, I feel like a lot of people aren't doing the necessary vetting that it takes. And if you do the proper vetting, you won't have to, that people won't have, men won't have to wonder, does this marriage benefit me? Because he knows that everything she is submitted to him, and she knows that he is connected to his vision, and there won't be any back and forth. You know,
Right. Right. That makes
how
sense. That makes sense. I love that.
how do you feel like whenever it comes down to things to that?
When it comes to the question I just asked you,
Mhm.
so I definitely say I will agree with you 100%. I think that there's a lot of value that a lot of people don't see because they might be so scarred, they might be traumatized because of past relationship experiences. But I also tend to see a lot of people that say that same thing, that marriage might not be worth it, are the same people who give up very easily. And one thing I've always said is you only have to get it right once.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people will spend their free time and spend the time that they should be preparing for, or to be a wife, to be a husband before they become a wife or husband.
Hmm.
I do believe that people don't spend that time to work, make sure that they are going to be the best version of themselves for that person when that person does come.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would think, oh, that's why I don't really believe in the dating method, because I do believe that a lot of people use that as an excuse to uh, treat people as
Hmm.
recyclable, very replaceable, I guess. And I don't think that that's right, because at the end of the day, like, even when you are dating, you don't know if that person is in it for the long run. Some people could wait on the dating period for years and years and years and never have plans to be in a marriage. So I definitely think that the process of vetting that person out, of asking those hard questions instead of wanting to go straight into um, getting intimate with each other and all of these things, I think that we should definitely be more careful on what we choose to partake in and who we choose to partake in.
Hmm.
Also, I will say there's a saying that good guys finish last, right? And I believe that those good guys that only finish last because they're running in the wrong race. A lot of people, especially men, tend to say good guys finish last, but those are the same guys that are running in the race trying to compete for the 1% baddie, you know what I'm saying? And most of the time, those quote unquote baddies, they don't really have God in their heart. They don't really have, especially in the industry. And unfortunately, we do live in a world that a lot of people are using their feelings and their physical senses to try to see what attracts them, when in reality we need to be judging people on what they can change rather than what they can't. So it's definitely, that's my insight. um yes,
Yeah.
it is a cold world out here, but
It definitely is a cold. It's yeah. If we have to learn how to do the necessary like precaution and like looking at all aspects of the person.
mm,
And we vet, if we become whole ourselves and then we vet, I believe that we can get even much better results. Yeah, I definitely do. Because listening to other women talk about relationships and stuff, it seems like we have no end goal whenever we are entertaining these relationships. Um, like I was talking to one woman and she was talking about the guy she was talking with, and I was like, well, what is his vision? And she was like, I don't know. Like she has no clue like what his plans were, what his goals were, nothing. And so that just goes to show that we are not being intentional at all.
Right. Right. It's true. Uh, and I think also one problem that a lot of, especially women, tend to do is we tend to give people or men the playbook um, before we learn who that person really is, and so that gives a lot of space for men to become chameleons, to kind of be just whatever they need to be in that moment to get what they want at the end. And I think that that's what a lot of women also tend to need to take into consideration when going on these dates and when getting to know a man. Make sure that you would see what he would rather do rather than what he should do. And I think that that's one really, really big thing. So my next question would kind of be like, if you were to, I guess, be a fly on the wall to your soulmate right now, what would you want him to know about you?
For my soulmate, I would want him to know that it's not about me. It's about the vision that God put inside of you. Because whenever a man stays connected to his vision, and he indirectly makes it about the woman he eventually chooses. So my soulmate, if my soulmate is listening, I want him to know that it's not about me, it's about your vision and your purpose. And when he connects to that, then that's what matters. That his vision is what is going to ultimately protect and provide for his family. And so if that's the focus, and the harder he goes in that, the more he'll make me happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think that if a man that you choose has a vision, but he is unable to complete that and I guess kind of lose himself as some people have in the past, do you think that that might be reason for women to leave their man?
If he has not completed his vision.
Yeah, because a lot of people, a lot of women especially, they tend to invest on potential of men, right? They tend to invest on what I see you can do and what I see you can accomplish. Some people are just not built for that kind of drive and that kind of perseverance. So a lot of people will say a man is valued on what he can provide and what he can protect, and a woman already has those attributes.
And so, okay, I understand. You're saying, what's the question again?
So my question would be, a lot of relationships, especially women, they tend to invest in a man that they believe has that vision that you're talking about, right? And has those goals and will pursue these careers. But sometimes men have fallen short of these visions and these dreams. So do you think that as the world takes society and says men are valued on what they can give and women are valued on what they have already, do you think that in these cases where men are not able to complete their vision, a woman should still stick beside him?
Okay, I got you. That's why it's so important for women to become very discerning in the vision chooses. So whenever we are out here and we're looking for our life partner, our the person that we want to form a union with, it is important for us to be very discerning in this search. And so when it comes down to in being discerning, you have to ask yourself, do I have what it takes to operate in expansion with this man? So in my opinion, the way I see it, men sustain and women expand. And so when it comes down to the vision not coming into fruition, it's important for men to not take on anything that they cannot sustain, period. So the vision that they have, it's important for them for it to already be realized before bringing someone else in before procreating, because whenever you are not, whenever your vision isn't realized, you put everything that's inside of it at fault. It becomes compromised. So that includes your children, that includes the woman there. Nothing should be within inside that vision until it is realized, because you won't be able to, because at that point it brings on a whole bunch of different factors. Again, like I said, women are meant to expand, men are meant to sustain. If he cannot operate in his purpose, then it becomes an imbalance, and it becomes hard on the woman as well. And so it's two caveats to this idea. Men must operate in sustaining, and women must operate in expansion. Everything that she is should go into expanding. Everything that he is should go into sustaining, and that is ultimately what he is going to find. That's all that is going to help him to lead in the way that he is supposed to lead. It keeps him from not questioning his leadership, and it also keeps her protected. It also makes sure that she is it keeps her from questioning your leadership as well. So what the key point that I want to make is that men should not take on anything that they cannot sustain. Even if she tells you you can sustain it, you got it. Even if she tells you no, a man should not take on anything that he cannot sustain, because at the end of the day, it is on you. You are the leader. So, yeah.
Someone asked, if his vision is already realized, isn't this the reason so many women are drawn to the same man?
Yes, that's exactly why.
Yeah, it's true. That's why a lot of women have a tendency to go for the top 10% because of the vision.
Exactly.
I like that. Is it possible, or should we, if it does not align with God's will? Because I do remember a verse, I'm not too sure where exactly it said it, but I guess the question would be, have you ever had to leave a relationship with someone you were still in love with?
I remember that question.
Okay.
I would say it this way. I would say I had to leave the relationship because of the love that I had for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so again, as I said before, some people, I live by my own words, and I look at the vision of the man and if he's connected to it. And so with that being the case, I would say that there was a lack of commitment to his vision. And with there being a lack of commitment to his vision, then that makes me vulnerable and not able to expand all that he is.
Right.
And so,
Right. Okay. Love it. Love it. Do you think that being in a serious relationship tends to slow people down?
I think the only way that the relationship, whenever the relationship is not built on a sturdy foundation, which is the vision of the man, him being committed to that, and the submission of the woman, and her operating in expansion. Whenever the relationship is not built on that foundation, there's always going to be it will slow down. It will slow you down. But if the relationship is built on vision and her expansion and submission, then the relationship will only be good for the couple and the vision that the couple has for their relationship.
Right. Right. Okay. I like that. Yeah, I definitely say it's not supposed to slow you down. It's not meant to do that. It's definitely supposed to, teamwork is what makes the dream work. And I say a lot of people that will say relationships might slow me down, or I can't focus on a relationship because it's too much work. I think that that's probably the wrong relationship you're in, because
Exactly.
two is always better than one. And if you're struggling more with two than an individual, then there's a problem or something that you definitely need to talk about with that person.
Yes. How do you feel about that? Have you do you feel like it could possibly slow you down or
I do believe that in a way relationships do take a lot of work, especially when the other person, um, you know, requires, especially when you're working on your vision as well. For me, I know that my schedule is very busy and that sometimes I do struggle to make time for a lot of the people because there's so many people trying to, get some time, even if it may not be a lot, it adds up. So I definitely say if I were to be in a relationship right now, it would be a little bit more difficult only because I'm not, just focusing on him right now and da 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 da. However, I do believe that when it comes to relationships, I understand that now I have to prioritize. Now I have to see things under a different light now because it's not just about me anymore. If I'm in a relationship, I have to understand that, my vision is now under his. Um, him being the leader, I need to make sure that he has all of the security that I am going to be operating under his vision, under his umbrella. As long as he's under God's umbrella, that's all that matters. So I definitely think that it shouldn't slow me down. And would I say that it's been difficult in the past? No, not really, because I don't think I would really choose anybody that will make that path difficult for me. However, I do believe that we should always choose as women someone that is going to lift us up in a positive way for growth. And that is very, very important. Um, just make sure that that man um, understands and doesn't just try to change you. But also, you must, as a woman, I must be willing to change in order for the relationship to work.
yeah. And I love how you mentioned whenever you do get in a relationship, you would be operating up under his umbrella. And I think that a lot of women don't understand that, like, whenever you do operate in union, whether you all that you are will be submitted to all that he is, whether you
Right.
or not. That's just what it is. If you're operating in a relationship and he is moving one way, then you have no choice. It's kind of like a domino effect. It's going to affect you too, and that's why I always preach that it's so important to vet visions, because if you're not vetting this man's vision, then in the future, all that he is, all that you are, will be submitted to all that he is.
Right.
Right? Even if you try to fight against it, that's just what the case is going to be. And so, like the first question you asked me in terms of women being single, if you are not ready to submit to a man a vision, I do think that women, you should not just try to operate in relationships just because you feel like it.
Hmm. Right. Right. Someone asked a question: how do you see feminine versus masculine energy?
Are you asking me?
Um, I guess I can answer it first, but how do I see feminine versus masculine energy? I mean, I don't I don't really view them too different from what it is. I kind of just take it for what it is and kind of just, we're supposed to, there's kind of roles for a reason and there's, certain things in place for a reason. I think if we don't take that out of context, there's really nothing to fix, if there's nothing broken about that kind of operation and how these families work. Because at the end of the day, it's kind of like masculine needs feminine. Two captains cannot steer a ship. So there's not really to me, it's not really an answer of like, oh yeah, I see it as this way or that way. I love both sides and I admire and value both sides. I think both sides are so, so important, the feminine and the masculine. I think that there's just so many things that people will not understand when people don't know how to work together and don't know how to operate as a team. And I think that that's very, very important to understand that both feminine and masculine play a very, very important role, and one cannot operate without the other.
Exactly. Yeah, I like to look at it. I like to think of it as the feminine kind of guides the masculine to a higher level of consciousness. And
Mm,
so, whenever you do not have these two energies, you can see it in men, and you can also see it in women when one is overpowering the other. And so, I think they definitely do operate as like a yin and yang, and it's important to understand what I some research that I've done before talked about the divine masculine versus the wounded masculine, and the divine feminine versus the wounded feminine, and
mm,
a lot of women operate in their um, the wounded femininity, and some men may operate in their wounded masculine. So it's important. It might sound like something so simple, like, oh, just operate in your divine feminine, but the divine feminine has so many things. It takes so much to operate in your divine feminine. It's a
mm,
lot of work that goes into that, and also with the masculine, it takes a lot of work to go in to operate in your divine masculine. A man in his divine masculine, his heart and soul, he has an integrated heart and mind, body, and soul. And so whenever you understand these two different energies, and you're not operating in the wounded of either one, I think it could only be a good thing for both people.
mm. I love that. Yes. I hope that answered your question, Hazy. Um, so someone has said you're talking to women in a room full of men. So let's switch it up though for this last question. The last question is, if you could give men real advice on what the right way to attract and keep a woman that has that soft feminine energy and has that nurturing part about her, what would that be?
In order for a man to attract that soft feminine woman and to keep her, um, I know I sound repetitive, but trust me, the more you stay committed to your vision and operate in your vision, the more you will attract the divine feminine into your life. And
Mm,
so the thing about it, what I want men to understand is that whenever you are connected to your vision, that's going to attract a multitude of women. But the key is to be discerning in that multitude of women, and to have discipline in that multitude of women that is going to that are going to be attracted to you as a byproduct of you being a man of vision, and you reaching certain heights of success because you are a man of vision. You have brought into fruition certain things. You're going to have a multitude of women attracted to you, but in order to get that divine feminine woman who is submissive and is interested in your vision, only a rare 1% women are interested in your vision. But a multitude of women are going to be interested in the resources that your vision created as a byproduct. And so if men understand the importance of being if men understand the importance of having fidelity to their vision, then you'll understand the importance of fidelity to one woman and monogamy to one woman. And so, in my opinion, it's all about that man being connected to his vision. And the women, a multitude of women will come as a byproduct. But the important aspect, the important point is that you must have discipline in that multitude of women, because it is the discipline that got you to the place that you're going to be, but it's also discipline amongst those women in order to decipher what woman is the best fit for you.
okay. I like that. I like that. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely say the same thing. I feel like there's just so many things that we just agree on. It's kind of like, you know what? I think she just said it perfectly. Um, but yeah, I would definitely agree with everything that you're saying. I think that, you know, people. I think there's a quote that says, um, "You'll never lose. You'll never lose." Or you say, "You'll never lose women chasing money, but you'll lose money chasing women."
Exactly.
Um, and I think that that is truly like important for men to understand, because women and men, they operate differently, but that's perfectly fine. Um, but just to know, as men, there's a lot of men that are out here chasing women and out here trying to impress them by shining things, and
Hmm.
trying to brag about how much they have and how much, uh, you know, most of the time it's not real. Um, but I do want to definitely shed light from, a woman's perspective, to just say, like, a good woman, if you're trying to really get a good woman, that's not how you attract them. And a good woman is way, way smarter than a lot of men would think. And you really have to catch her mind before uh, her body. So, yes, that is my inputs.
Yes, I definitely 100%. I agree with you with that as well, because what a lot of men don't understand is that rare 1% woman who cares about your purpose, that's rare. And it seems a lot men might have a multitude of options, but in reality, that 1% of women, a woman that cares about your vision and your purpose and not your resources, then that's like a very rare percentage of women.
Right, right,
And that's why I say it's important for men to vet women very well, because don't get confused with a lot of women just being interested in you. It's about the woman who cares about your vision and your purpose, and you stick to that, and you let the woman get on board. You don't get on her because you are the leader, not.
right,
So that's the I think that's a really good that's the point that I would try to like make to men, is that you stay the course of your vision and you allow her to get on board with you.
right. I like that. Where did you get this mindset?
I would say I got this mindset just listening to my parents, and really taking in everything that they said. And then whenever I implemented those ideas into like my dating or my vetting and the way I relate with men, it was very useful. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
I like to say I don't have any relationship baggage or trauma, because whenever you move in this way, then it really does protect you.
right.
It keeps you whole in this process. And as young women, I think that's really important, for us to remain whole and to operate. And whenever we are vetting, it's important for us to be whole, because it's you have to be discerning in this dating pool. And so whenever I apply these concepts to the men that I was dating and or I was vetting, it just began to open up a lot of different it helped me see things a lot clearer, rather than like some women get caught up in sleeping around or stuff, like though that's not even a question.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And so how did you become so wise at 20?
um, so I say I kind of picked up my mindset by being in the barbershop. I actually moved out at like 14 years old, so I ended up going to um, or trying to make money the right way. I just started high school and I was kind of looking for ways, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I don't have guardianship, I don't have direction, like I don't know what I'm doing. So I ended up going to a barber shop, weird place, like so random. And I started, sweeping the floor, started washing people's hair. But then I started really like listening to the conversation and stuff like that. I don't know why, but it was something about that barbershop that I was just like kind of intrigued by. Um, and I think that was because I didn't have a good relationship with my father back in the day, which is a lot better now. But I basically was, I think I was captivated because the people in there, especially the owner of the barbershop, kind of took me in as a father figure, and he taught me the game. And I think that that was detrimental to the shift in my mindset, because, at first it was, oh, well, I was a little bit bitter. I was a little, you know, petty and whatever. But at the end of the day, like every time I tried to tell people, like, you know, well, I think women, da, 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 they were like, no, 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 like this is the man cave, so you're gonna sit your ass down, you're gonna listen. And eventually, you know, I learned as, you know, the time went by, listening as a woman will get you so much farther when so many of us tend to just yap and talk just to try to prove a point or to be right all the time. And that's not always the case. Sometimes you could just learn so much by just sitting down and understanding a man's perspective, and also realizing that men are naturally going to be a little bit aggressive. So us being emotional all the time is definitely not going to help. I understand that men should be kind with their words and should be, you know, spreading love and light. But at the same time, us as women have to understand men are not women. They're not always going to be soft and, you know, nurturing and kind all the time. Sometimes, you know, the way that we need to understand men is just for who they are instead of who we want, you know, who we think they should be.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, going to your page and listening to you speak, it was just very refreshing, especially in today's time. And, you know, with the different mindsets and the different crazy things we see, like coffee dates, no coffee dates, cheesecake.
Right.
All that.
Oh, people are over here choosing bears over men. Like, I'm like, what's going on? Like,
but it's refreshing to see you have such a positive view on men. And, you know, and that's important because at the end of the day, we want each other. Like, we want to be married. Men want women, women want men, and we're better together. And so I think it's rare. Like, you are a rare gem. And so I just think it's refreshing to hear that type of mindset, you know, on all of social media, considering like what we are, you know, bombarded with on the daily.
Right. And I'm glad I found you as well, for real. Blessing. You are a blessing on my feed every time I look.
Thank you.
So, really, I'm excited to get these short clips out because I know you spoke some gems, guys. I hope everybody gives her a follow because she was definitely spitting facts. I'm over here like speechless. I don't got nothing else to say.
Thank you so much, Sapphire, for having me.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes. I really appreciate it. It was refreshing talking to you, to like, you know, really get the ideas out and hear your perspective in real time.
Right. I agree. Hopefully one day we'll be able to meet in person.
Yes, I was already like, August, what's going on in August? Like,
hey, if you ever need a place to stay, I got a whole house. So yes, please.
Wow.
Yeah. But thank you again. Thank you.
I'll text you. Does this save automatically?
So if you delete it, it will go to live archives. If you look at the archives, I think it gives you an option to either post it, delete it, but it goes to archives, or I don't know what the other option is. But what I want to do is I want to save the live, and then I want to just make kind of short clips for them so I could actually post it on my feed.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds perfect. And whatever you post, I'll just collab or post it too.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you everything before I post everything, so to make sure that you're okay with them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.